Do you want to publish more content but get stuck thinking up topics to talk about? Then stick around because today we're learning 12 types of content that you can post today. Welcome back everyone. I'm Alan, and on this channel we talk all things sales funnels and digital marketing. Now, you've probably heard the phrase that content is king before, and while the internet marketing landscape changes pretty much every day, the point is that content still reigns supreme. However, anytime the importance of creating content comes up in conversation, everyone tells me that they would love to produce more content, but they just can't think of new things to talk about, which is where this video or content comes in. Now today we are discussing content types, but for 12 ways to come up with content ideas, then definitely check out my video here or in the description below. So here are 12 types of content that you can publish on your Facebook profile, YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, or any other platform today. Number 12 on our list is news. Now, humans have evolved to especially pay attention to anything that's new or that stands out from the rest. That's exactly why people line up in huge, ridiculous lines to get the new iPhone or S20 or whatever the new product is when they aren't even using the old one to even 20% of its capacity. The point is that we can't help but want what's new. So keep an eye out for anything that's new in your industry. This could be new laws, new regulations, new books, or conferences, or events, or scandals, or pretty much anything else like that. Our next type of content you can post are how-tos, tips, and tutorials. Now, I've read somewhere that the top content searched on just about any search platform starts with the two words, how to. Which is good news for you because you already know a ton about your industry and market. So create content that already teaches what you know. How to choose a microphone, how to create a sales page, how to just about anything like that. People are dying for how-to content, so give it to them. And the best thing is that answering how-to questions all over your content and all over your platform builds trust, builds your authority, and overall makes you look like the professional that you are. The next type of content you can post is anti-advice, which is pretty much the exact opposite of the number that we just looked at. Now, the number we just looked at is how to blah, blah, blah. But anti-advice is how not to blah, blah, blah. Now, the human brain evolved to be naturally fearful and to keep an eye out on things that might be a threat or that might embarrass us or lower our status. So that is a great type of content that people are very interested in. So this means 5 things to avoid when you blah, blah, blah. 5 things to watch out for if you're looking to this. The 5 biggest mistakes that people look for when they buy a microphone. Whatever it is, let people know what not to do. In many ways, that might be even more interesting to people than what they should do. In a way, anti-advice builds even more authority and trust than regular advice because your audience sees that you've already taken those hits and avoided those mistakes for them. Number 9 are predictions and trends. So we already mentioned news, which is looking at the present, the cutting edge present. But of course, the next step of that is to look at the short term and slightly further term future. Now, there's no shortage of how to and how not to content on any platform, but predictions are a whole nother world of content because it's much more opinion-based, much more extrapolation and just generally your personal opinion, which is much less formulaic and raw and direct than a how to or how not to. This gives you the opportunity to explain your thought process and other ideas and things like that that generally give people a better idea about your thought process, your personality, your experience, the way you think, than any how to or clear, cut and dry content could. Trends content is also very useful because news is in the present, predictions are in the future, but Trends content is kind of in the middle, which is a relatively untouched area, which is also very useful and interesting to your audience. Number 8 are interviews. Now, interviewing people is a whole nother world, but we'll just touch on it here. But the biggest point is that everyone loves to be interviewed, aka to talk about themselves. Just human psychology, another one of those notes there. Now, does this mean that if you call Oprah today that she's going to take your interview? Of course not. But if there are some people who you consider above you, they are probably more receptive or more likely to be interviewed or to be willing to accept your interview request than you think they are. In addition to associating your brand with your interviewees and probably to exposing yourself to their audience, the more important part is that your audience and everyone's audience is very interested in hearing about the opinions and successes and strategies and tips and experience from successful people. So give the people what they want. Number 7 are opinions and responses. Now, I mentioned a minute ago that facts are useful and searched for, and all of that's great and good, but what people really connect to are people and personalities and emotions and so forth. The interesting thing is that even if people disagree with your opinion or response or whatever, it humanizes you. When you go through your train of thought, you explain why you have that opinion, and it's actually kind of a magical negotiation or persuasion tool that humanizes you even if they disagree with you. One thing to consider about some of your maybe potentially more controversial opinions is that you have to say them with conviction. This is one of the reasons why you will never hear me apologize for anything, not because I never think I'm wrong, but because people don't like wishy-washiness. Even though that's how logical, smart, well-adjusted adults should be, the point is that the audience as a whole doesn't like wishy-washiness and people who say, I think this is the case. I think this is what should happen. I know it's a bad bug of human nature. I totally agree. But the point is that whatever your opinion is, stick to it and say it with conviction. Now, I am not saying that apologizing is bad or anything like that, but I am saying that's why you probably won't ever hear me apologize for anything. Number 6 on our list are questions to ask and or things to know. Now, yes, this is kind of a subsection of our tips and advice section, but it is the most useful subsection of it. Buying and shopping are rumored to be fun and exciting and dopamine releasing. And in a way that's true, but actually buying and shopping is actually one of the most stressful things, especially when it comes to something that has to do with your goal or your business or so forth. For example, buying each one of my 3 different purposed microphones was a huge headache. Took me hours and days of research, which just wasn't pleasant. I bought a monitor recently, which took me days of research also. The point is that it is a great type of content when you say what you should know before you buy a monitor. 5 questions to ask when you're going to buy a microphone. Any of those types of content or titles work great and are extremely useful to pretty much anyone in your audience. It also doesn't hurt that this type of content builds tons of trust, and you can throw in a little bit of affiliate marketing here, which is where you get a cut from the things that you help or cause to sell. Number 5 are frequently asked questions. Now, maybe the best thing about this type of content is that your audience pretty much writes it for you. So on one hand, you could package all of those questions that you get all the time from your prospective clients or customers or so forth, put them all into an FAQ post. Then you can refer anybody who asks you anything to this piece of content, which pretty much benefits everyone. And another half of FAQs is that you can also throw in what you want them to know all into the same mix. Number 4 on our list are reviews and comparisons. Now, as nice as being decisive sounds, the point is that as far as human psychology is concerned, making decisions is kind of hard, because we feel like when we choose one thing, we are saying no to the other things, which may be better options. So when you provide reviews and comparisons and make people's decision-making process easier, that helps them a ton. For example, anytime I'm going to buy anything new or even thinking about it, I go straight to Google or YouTube and I type in best 5 blah blah blah. Best seat cushions, best lavalier microphones, best video editing software, pretty much anything like that. So if somebody has content that says, here is a review, here is a comparison of these things that you are considering, then that benefits the creator and the content consumer. So if my search comes back with a review or a comparison on the things that I'm considering buying, that is super useful to me. And of course, it is useful to the content creator. Our number 3 type of content to create is to dispel myths. Now, on one hand, people never ever want to be told they're wrong, but people love when you teach them something that they previously probably didn't know. This type of content can be titled 10 myths you believe about blah, blah, blah. 5 things you may not know about this thing you already have. Pretty much anything like that that tells people you think this, but this might surprise you. People say, that's interesting, even though you're technically proving them wrong in a way. This is a sneaky, great way to get into that type of mind frame and to ultimately persuade them. There's actually a whole world behind this dispelling myths topic. So for example, if you've ever heard of the books Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Predictably Irrational, Barking Up the Wrong Tree, pretty much tons of these social science, consumer behavior, actually all types of books are extremely popular when the general topic is, you think this, but this is how you're wrong, but in a lighthearted, surprising, just so you know type of way. Number 2 is to reteach lessons and chapters. So if you have read a interesting magazine article or book or saw an interesting YouTube video or TED Talk, then you can create content re-explaining that or summarizing those good points. Now, of course, this doesn't mean to just copy other people's work necessarily, but keep in mind that entire industries, entire conferences, entire books have been created just from somebody's one idea or one chapter or one quote or one concept where somebody else saw the value in that quote or in that idea. And they took that idea and they wrote an entire book or created an entire conference about it. So just keep that in mind, that retelling or summarizing or just generally expanding on a point or chapter or something like that does work as great content. And the number 1 type of content you can post are lists or listicles, as they're called sometimes. Now, lists are more of a format than a type, but still, they are extremely useful. Now, I know that there are a lot of list haters who say that it's clickbaity or lazy or whatever, but I only care about what works. So blame it on the kids these days, or on laziness, or on the internet, or on video games, or on whatever you want. But if you want content that works, that gets attention, views, clicks, generates leads, makes sales, and more, definitely look into lists. And step 0, as always, is to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. It does help a lot. What types of content do you like to consume? Or what types work best for your business? Let me know in the comments below. For more help generating leads, building your list, and more, definitely grab my 20 ways to get more leads and sales from your funnel below. Well, that about wraps us up for today. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and I will see you on the next one.